Guys, in this video, I would like to teach you how to improvise over every chord progression, because I've been teaching for a lot of years now, and the problem that I see with all my students is that they are able to learn very easily the scales, the arpeggios, and various diagrams and shapes, etc., etc., because it is quite easy, let's say, and information are easy to find nowadays. But the real point is that it's very difficult to understand how to actually use all this information and how to relate scales, arpeggios to chord progressions. So what I would like to do in this video is giving you the passages that you have to follow in order to understand a chord progression and work with it and play over it fluently with no difficulties. In the meantime, I will really appreciate if you would subscribe to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Iggy, and also I have a Patreon in which you can find the transcriptions, the diagrams of each lesson that I publish on this channel. And specifically for this lesson, I left you there a PDF with in-depth information and also transcriptions that will help you to understand how these phrases and this method will work for you. So going directly to the core of the lesson, what I did right now is programming on my looper here a very simple chord progression, which is second 5-1 in C major. Specifically, we have D minor 7 and G7 and C major 7. So please don't think that this is going to be only a jazz lesson. Of course, second 5-1 is a very used and common chord progression in jazz music. But once you are able to understand the chord concepts, you can also apply all of this information on every chord progression. So the first method, the first step that you have to follow is to understand, of course, where we are in terms of key. And of course, we are in C major, right? So you have to understand which are the degrees of each key. So specifically, we have the second degree, which is D minor 7, and the fifth degree, which is G7, and the first degree, which is C major 7. Of course, we can add other chords that, for example, can be seen as the sixth degree, for example, A minor 7, or we can add the third degree, which is E minor 7, and we can add, for example, the fourth, which is F major 7th, and the G7th, which is the fifth. But have a chord progression, any chord progression, you should be able to understand exactly which is the key and how the scale related to that key is harmonized. The second task is to understand how every chord is bowed and which are the notes that form every chord. So coming back to D minor 7, when it comes to D minor 7, we can think in terms of triad and in terms of 4-note chords. Okay, when we have a triad, we have a D, we have the note D, F, and A. Okay, so we have a minor triad, D minor, and if we want to add the seventh, we have D, F, A, and C, and we have a 4-note chord, which is formed by D, F, A, and C. Okay, 1, 3, 5, and 7. The same method we can repeat it with G7. Okay, if we just take the triad, we have G, B, and G. And of course, if we want to add the seventh, we have the natural F. So the triad is formed by the note G, B, and D, and then if we had also the seventh, we have natural F. And we have 1, 3, 5, and 7. And the same you can repeat also with C major. We have C, E, and G. And if we want to add also the seventh, we have the natural B. So C, E, G, and B. This goes directly to the task number 3. So in the task number 3, you have to be able to play an entire arpeggio for each chord. So you have to be able to actually play what they say the spelling of each chord. So it means that you are able to cover each chord with an arpeggio. Let's see specifically what we can do only with the 3 notes arpeggios. Okay, now that you covered all the arpeggios on each chord, you should be able to replicate the same method also on other parts of the neck, because now, of course, I want to simplify for not making this lesson very long, but you should be able to play it in this area like I'm doing right now, but then you can replicate the method also here, and then here, and then here. Okay, so technically speaking, for each arpeggio, we have 5 different positions, and you should be able to play the arpeggios of each chord on the 5 different positions. So to give you an idea, whenever we have D minor 7, like I did right now, like I play right now, we also have another D minor 7, and another one, and then another one, and another one, until I reach the octave. And the same you should do with all the chords that you have, okay? With all the arpeggios that you can actually apply over the chords. Once you covered all the arpeggios in each chord, what you should do is being able to play the third of each chord. So whenever you are playing, for example, D minor 7, you should be able to visualizing instantly is its third, which is F, natural F. And the same when you play over G7, you should be able to visualize the natural B. And when you are on C, you should be able to visualize natural E. So what I suggest you is that you should be playing the arpeggio and finish the phrase over the third, okay? But of course, in order to do that, you should be able to visualize the third over all the entire neck. So whenever you visualize F, you should be able to play all the F on the neck. Okay, so whenever you play F, you should be able to visualize F on all the entire neck, and the same you do with B, and the same you do with E. And of course, it is also better if you relate this third with the position of the arpeggio. This helps you way better to see where the actual note is located. Okay, so when you can do that, you should be able to play the third over each chord. Once you have done this work with the third, you can do the same also with the seventh. So you should be able to visualize the seventh of each chord. So specifically when we are on D minor 7th, we have natural C, and then when we are on G7, we have natural F, and when we are on C major 7, we have natural B. And we can actually repeat the same concept and the same idea. As you may see, the idea is always playing the phrase and trying to finish the phrase with the arpeggio and then to land on the next bar on the seventh or the third. So what I want to say is that we can call also the seventh and the third as guide tones. These guide tones actually guide you through the harmony. So if you play your lines, keeping in mind that you have these landing points, you are giving to the listener a clear idea of where you are located harmonically. So you're not playing scales up and down anymore. You're just going towards a clear direction. Also, who listens to you understands that. The next method is when you are able to locate the third and seventh, you can do also the same with the ninth. Specifically, when we have the ninth over D minor 7, we have natural E. When we have it over G7, we have natural A, which is here or here. And when we are on C major 7, we have natural D, which is here or also here. And actually, you can do the same that you have been doing with the previous notes. As you see, it's not very, very important how you structure the phrase, because before the landing point, you can actually build the phrase as much as you want. Now I'm playing very simple melodies and I am playing diatonically. But the real point is that you can actually build everything here, playing everything you desire, and then you land on the next bar as long as you are aiming to your landing point, as long as you are aiming to that note specifically. So if you do that, even if you play completely outside, just let's make a paradox now. Even if you play completely outside or with the wrong notes, as long as you land correctly to the next bar, to a clear point, a clear note that fits and has a harmonic meaning, you are actually giving harmonic meaning, and who listens to you understands that. So the real meaning of all these exercises so far is to make you aware of the fact that you are not just playing arpeggios or scales or whatever it is. I want to make you aware of the fact that you are actually choosing the notes. And of course, you have to replicate everything to every area. And the goal should be to cover every area of the neck. There shouldn't be any blank point in which you say, oh, what I have here, I don't know, I don't remember. No, everything should be clear. And actually, when you play, everything should flow like speaking, like you're talking normally, okay, like in your own language. So guys, here we go, and we are in the last step now. The last step should be being able to improvise with all of that. So when you improvise and when you build your lines, you should be able to mix together the arpeggios, and you should force yourself to actually finish the phrases over a landing point that contains your guide tones or the ninth. And of course, you can also extend everything to the fifth, to the seventh, as we did, but also to the root, and to the fourth, but it really depends harmonically. I would say that you can also add the root, of course. You can add the fifth if you want to give an idea of I am home, and you want to give an idea of how the chord really works. Because if you also land on the root or on the fifth, you create something that is more, you create a phrase that expresses the chord even more clearly, but at the same time, maybe sometimes sometimes can be less interesting. By the way, what we can do now is trying to improvise using everything we have been explaining so far and try to connect the arpeggios with the landing points. It's everything I have for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave me a big thumb up if you liked this lesson. Also, another little reminder to subscribe to my Patreon. You will find the transcriptions of this lesson on on this page, so you are able to find more material that you don't find here on YouTube, and you can have more material for you to study. And you can also add me on Instagram and on TikTok. I like to connect on these platforms with you also there. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.